Today, we have a DM who decides to abuse his power when his players make a mistake. Let's throw another log on the fire. We were a group of ragtag adventurers. We had a wood elf sorcerer banished from her village for lighting the forest on fire, played by me, a stoic dragonborn warrior seeking to avenge his family, played by my cousin, and a mischievous rogue, played by my DM's brother. The king calls us in because level 1 adventurers are definitely important enough to attract a king's attention, and are instructed to grab a treasure from an abandoned keep a few days' journey from the capital. Sure, nothing too big of a deal about this. We go over to the keep, have a couple minor combats against the goblins living there, and grab some loot. We never find the treasure the king asked us to retrieve, but we weren't too worried about it. We get to the dungeon in the basement and find a random old lady there. She was clearly out of it since she was practically offering to bake us cookies despite being locked in a dungeon, and we were all pretty weirded out. Personally, I was like 70% sure she was a shapeshifter or something, since that's the kind of thing this DM would do to us. In the end, we decided to take the old lady back with us to the capital when about 100 goblins appear out of nowhere and rush us. The DM actually said like 100. Considering how much trouble 5 of them gave us, we run for our lives, leaving the crazy old lady behind. When we get back to the capital, the king wants to see us. We explained that we didn't get his treasure, but apparently he's not mad about that. However, he is mad because that random old lady was his mother, and he orders his guards to execute us. Each of the guards are like 5th level, and we get pummeled and hanged. We ask the DM why he put us in that situation, to which he responds, "You guys weren't being heroic enough, so I killed you all. Real heroes would have saved that old lady regardless of the risk to themselves." Never mind the fact that the king clearly knew his mother was there ahead of time, considering that he knew she died before we got back, and decided to send 3 random dudes rather than his 5th level guards in full plate. Never mind the fact that we were never sent on any kind of rescue mission, only one of us was even of a good alignment, and the DM gave no expectation of heroic action in session 0. Never mind that the old lady was extremely suspicious and that the DM deliberately dropped an impossible combat on our heads to force us to run away. Never mind that this DM, as a player, always plays chaotic evil pranksters that mess with and steal from other party members. But nope, none of that matters because the protagonists of his game didn't abandon their lives on a chance to save a random old lady, so we don't deserve to live. Needless to say, I don't play with him anymore. There was a case when I was running a campaign without him, deliberately, I might add, and he went out of his way to find out when and where it was, and showed up during the session and just demanded to play. Fortunately, I've moved since then, so I haven't had to interact with him since, but now I'm a forever DM, which is both a blessing and a curse. As a DM, it's important to make your intentions well known, and not throw crazy curveballs like this one. Frankly, based on the type of characters that he plays, I don't think he was going to be a fair DM anyways. What do you all think about this situation?